In America, presented by Chevy.
Oh, we ready, baby. It's fired up, baby. We fired up. We finna shock the world. Sean Taylor, we love you, baby. We praying for you every day. We praying for your family. We love you, Sean. You the 12th man. We with you every day, baby. We love you, man. Believe that. Oh, yeah. Ready, baby.
A month ago, Chris Samuels and the Redskins were reeling at 5-7, coming off a last-play loss against Buffalo in their first game after the death of safety Sean Taylor. But they closed the season with 4 straight wins. And now as they head into their wild card matchup against Seattle, the Redskins are drawing inspiration from their fallen teammate. Peter King spent part of the week with the Redskins.
A bulletin that has just come across the Associated Press. It reports that Washington Redskins safety Sean Taylor has died.
When he died, what did you say to your team?
I think that was such a tragic time. I talked very little. When Clinton got up, it was obviously very emotional.
It was basically, if I had the opportunity to talk to Sean, basically what I would have said, you know, you never tell another man thank you or I love you or appreciate what you're doing or I look up to you.
Later on that day, Sean's dad came in and talked to the team, and I got to tell you, he was great.
Very emotional, very emotional. His dad was talking, his girlfriend, she spoke as well, and I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I felt better once I cried.
Then he said to the team, he really said to the team, he said, look, I know what Sean would want. He would want you guys to go play.
20, 15, breaks a tackle, 10, 5, the somersaults into the end zone, touchdown Redskins. The Redskins have battled back inspirationally as a team and head to the playoffs.
I remember before we ever got started off the field, guys were yelling, I heard them, you know, we won by 21, Sean's number.
21 points. You know, it just hit me right then and there. I broke down, you know, and after Coach Gibbs talked to us, it was just emotional.
Yes, sir. You know, I said something along the lines of, I think we all know, and none of us, you know, felt like this is by accident. And I think we all feel like he's with us.
How much do you think about him when you're on the field?
All the time. You know, I think it's more off the field. You know, I might pull out my phone getting ready to make a call, and I go to S, and you know, his number, like the first number under S, and it's S.21, you know, and I see that number, and you know, hurry up and scroll off of it.
It's a tragedy that Sean's life got cut short like that at 24. Well, every time I look down at that and think he was 24. Nobody knows where this is going to wind up. I know it's been 4 fantastic weeks to get here. It was like a miracle dream. And so we'll just see what happens, but I know that it's a motivating factor for our players.
Every time I step out there, I play for Sean. You know, that 21 on my jersey and on my helmet, it really means something to me. He was born to play football, and yeah, every time I step out there, I just try to, you know, play like Sean would play.
And when we return, we'll wrap things up and get you set for the kickoff of the game, the Wild Card Redskins against the NFC West champion Seahawks. We'll be right back.
Westfield in Seattle, where the NFL playoffs kick off today. Tama the Seahawk is here, looking for some fresh meat as the Seahawks make their appearance here at Westfield. This NFC Wild Card matchup, the Washington Redskins and the Seattle Seahawks. Hello, everyone. If you can hear us, Tom Hamlin and Chris Collinsworth at Westfield. And Chris, just hearing this crowd react really gets the emotions pumping. The best time of the football season has to be special for a player.
It really is, and it's so crazy out here right now. But if you've reached this point in the season, you're 1 of 12 with a chance to win the Super Bowl. And don't forget the last 2 Super Bowl champs came out of this wild card weekend.
Well, the Seahawks were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, losing to Pittsburgh. They've been in the playoffs 5 straight years now, but still somewhat a forgotten team.
You know, they are a little bit, and they're a little bit of a different football team. We're so used to seeing Mike Holmgren's teams and all the offense and the points that they can put up. But right now, this is a little bit of a defensive-oriented football team. They have 4 Pro Bowlers on the defensive side, and they're flying a little under the radar right now.
Well, you know, the Washington Redskins have been on that emotional roller coaster, reaching the bottom with the death of Sean Taylor and then losing their 4th consecutive game. But somehow, Chris, they managed to rally their emotions, come together in a near miraculous run to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and when they were coming back from Sean's funeral, something happened with this football team. They had lost 4 games in a row, and they seemed to be finished. But they really galvanized on the field, and Joe Gibbs had so much a part of that. And then all of a sudden, Todd Collins has to come in this game, this 36-year-old who thought he would never have a chance, never get this opportunity. And here he is in the playoffs with a chance to make a Super Bowl run.
And the Redskins, the hot team, they come into today's game having won 4 in a row. The Redskins and the Seahawks, and you can bet the 12th man will be very much in evidence at Quest Field today.
Something about playoffs, and our fans are always intense, always fired up.
Everybody's intensity cranks up. That next play could be the play that makes you a legend.
The playoffs are where you either win or you go home. Everybody wants that prize at the end.
NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Welcome back to Seattle in Quest Field. 41 degrees, a little chilly. The wind 15 miles an hour, but gusting to more than that. The forecast is for rain. Right now the sun is out and the rain has been coming in and out. That's Jamie Moyer, the former Seattle Mariners pitcher, their all-time winningest pitcher, and now plays for the Phillies, but still a Seattle resident, raising the 12th man flag. One of the loudest stadiums, maybe the loudest in the NFL, and the 12th man tradition very much in evidence here in Seattle. The Redskins have won the toss and have elected to receive. And a couple of great coaches, Mike Holmgren and Joe Gibbs, matched up today in Seattle. 2 of the best all time in the NFL. Josh Brown ready to kick off. Jamie Moyer still leading the cheers. And from the 5-yard line, Cartwright with a little seam gets to the 30-yard line before he's knocked down on the special teams, with Will Herring doing the honors for Seattle. So the Redskins, led by Todd Collins, here are their starting offensive players.
Todd Collins, Michigan. Clint Portis, the U. Mike Sellers, Northwestern. Santana Moss, the U.
I'm Antoine Randall, Indiana University.
Chris Cooley, Utah State University.
Chris Samuels, Alabama.
Pete Kendall, Boston College.
Casey Raubach, Wisconsin.
Jason Fabini, University of Cincinnati.
Stefan Heyer, University of Maryland, College Park.
And Heyer will be one to watch today, the rookie. Hand off to Portis, Clinton Portis. Couple of tough yards as we check the starting defensive lineup for the Seahawks.
Patrick Kearney, University of Virginia.
Brandon Mebane, California, Berkeley.
Rocky Bernard, Texas A&M.
Harold Tapp, Virginia Tech.
Leroy Hill, Clemson.
Lof Tatupu, USC.
Julian Peterson, Michigan State.
Marcus Trufant, Washington State. Deion Grant, University of Tennessee.
Brian Russell, San Diego State.
Kelly Jennings, the U.
And Clinton Portis gets the second straight carry. And Rocky Bernard catches him for no gain on the play.
Well, Clinton Portis has just been such a huge part of this offense for the Washington Redskins. He hasn't put up quite the same kind of numbers in the postseason, just 54 yards per game. But when you break down what he's been able to do when he's gotten healthy this season, a huge difference maker for the Redskins.
3rd and 7, and Collins in the shotgun. Collins' first pass attempt of the day is over the head of Santana Moss. Collins way overshooting his man that time on 3rd and long, and it'll be 3 and out for the Skins on their first possession.
Well, one thing that the Seahawks did not want was for Todd Collins to get settled early in this game, and that time Lofa Tatupu coming on a blitz was able to get his hands up and force Todd Collins to throw it over his head. But, boy, they were doing a lot to try and protect the right tackle, Stephon Heyer. They had two guys essentially over there on most snaps in that first sequence. Have to wonder how much of a factor he's going to be.
So Derek Frost will punt. Nate Burleson deep for the Seahawks. Record-setting season and returns for Burleson. Only able to pick his way forward for a short gain there across the 20. The punt covered 49, 5 yards on the return before Rock Cartwright makes the special teams tackle. So here's the Seattle starting offense.
Matt Hasselbeck, Boston College.
Sean Alexander, Alabama.
Leonard Weaver, Carson Newman College.
Nate Burleson, University of Nevada.
Bobby Ingram, Penn State. Marcus Pollard, Bradley.
Walter Jones, Florida State.
Rob Sims, Ohio State University.
Chris Spencer, Ole Miss.
Chris Gray, Auburn.
Sean Locklear, NC State.
And Burleson on the receiving end of the first pass from Hasselbeck, and it's good for Seattle. First down, a gain of 11.
Well, there's certainly some questions coming into this game about Matt Hasselbeck's wrist. He hurt it in the game last week, and he came into our meeting the other day, that big ice pack on there, and you're like, oh my gosh, what'd you do? Did you break your arm or what? But he said he just pinned his wrist underneath. It was giving him some problems. He was messing around with it in pregame, but he completed the first one, so that's a good sign.
Back to pass again. Sands in the pocket and delivers on the money to Bobby Ingram. Ingram at 34 years old having a career year.
And Bobby Ingram is the guy that is constantly working in the slot, and there are certain passes that Matt Hasselbeck says, I can throw to Bobby Ingram in with my eyes closed. He just simply knows where he is. He's a veteran guy, probably doesn't run much faster than 4.7 at this point in his career, but having a career year, his first time over 1,000 yards.
And a Seattle record 94 receptions. Seahawks moving on their first possession of the game and now in Redskin territory. From the skin, 47, Hasselbeck rearranging. He has to call a timeout as the play clock was ticking down. So Matt Hasselbeck trying to change the play, runs out of time, and the Seahawks spend a timeout, but they're driving on their first possession.
Oh, honey, I told the neighbors we'd feed their pets while they're away.
Oh, okay, sweetie. Oh, no.
Want to get away? Now you can. With Southwest Airlines Internet Specials, you can fly to over 60 destinations nationwide for just $49 to $99. Purchased by January 21st.
You are now free to move about the country.
Truckers told us to give them a heck of a truck. He told us not to pull any punches. So we gave them a big engine, big towing, big frame, and big brakes. What'd we get out of it? A big old pat on the back. The 2008 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, the Toyota Tundra. The truck that's changing it all.
Life is busy.
NBC's NFL Wild Card Playoff brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. By Toyota, moving forward. By Coors Light's cold activated bottle. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is cold. And by Sprint, the official telecommunications service sponsor of the NFL. This is the NFL at Sprint speed. Aerial shot of Quest Field, where the Seahawks, on their opening possession of the game, have driven down to the 47-yard line of Washington. They've run 2 plays, 2 Hasselbeck completions for 30 yards. Sean Alexander on the draw play gets it to the just shy of the 40-yard line, and the much maligned Seahawk running game. Sean Alexander says he takes that personally.
You know, Tom, one of the things that they feel like Washington feels like Matt Hasselbeck does is he gets to the line of scrimmage and they have these check with me plays where it's either to the right or to the left, and he'll make the call at the line of scrimmage. They're going to shift late to try and confuse him, but right now Hasselbeck's catching him in the shift.
Evades the rush and unloads it, throws it away, Hasselbeck. And let's take a look at the starting defensive unit for the Redskins.
Philip Daniels, Donaldsonville, Georgia.
Cornelius Griffin, Alabama.
Anthony Montgomery, Minnesota.
Andre Carter, California.
Marcus Washington, Auburn.
London Fletcher, John Carroll University.
Randall Godfrey, University of Georgia.
Sean Springs, The Ohio State University.
Ron Landry, LSU.
Reed Dowdy, Northern Colorado.
Fred Smoot, Mississippi State University.
Reed Dowdy, of course, taking the place of Sean Taylor. 3rd and 4 here for the Seahawks. 4 wide receivers set. Hasselbeck under center now in the pocket. And the defender falls down, and Hasselbeck misses Ben Obamanu. Obamanu was wide open. The defender fell down.
This thing's just absolutely wide open for Matt Hasselbeck, and he knows it. It was Sean Springs on the outside who simply just slipped and fell. They do a lot of man coverage, and for Washington defensively, it's a big reason why they've been able to turn their season around. The play of their corner, the man-to-man on the outside, allows them to bring more pressure. On that one, almost cost them big.
So Plaquemire in punt formation on 4th down, trying to do a little pooch punt. Antoine Randall lets it bound, and it takes a good Seahawk bounce, and they'll down it deep into Washington territory. Perfectly executed by Plaquemire and the Seahawks special teams. They pin Washington deep in a scoreless first quarter with 11:20 left. Plaquemire loved it. Matt Hasselbeck in the center there, over on the sideline, studying what happened on that first series. He missed a man, probably would have been a touchdown, but the good punt down at the 4-yard line of the Redskins puts Washington in a hole.
I think this crowd's getting into it with them backed up a little bit.
Pitch to Portis. Cuts up, got a yard.
You can almost tell now with this Washington offense that if they're not protecting the side where the rookie free agent Stephon Hire is, in other words, no tight end, no additional back over there, they're going to do something the opposite way, because there's no way they're going to allow Patrick Kearney to work one-on-one against Stephon Hire. Here's a guy that was undrafted, a free agent, basically thrown in at the end of the season. He's done a good job, but they're going to have to protect him here today.
Meanwhile, Kearney led the NFC with 14.5 sacks. Second down, Collins. Slant toss complete to Moss. Makes it to about the 11-yard line. Tackled by Babineau.
We're talking about all the things they're going to do with Hire over here. Right now, they're bringing in a defensive tackle, Lorenzo Alexander, on the side to just give a little additional protection over there. They certainly want Todd Collins to have enough time to feel protected. They want him to get settled in this football game and do not want him to get hit early.
Liddell Betts into the backfield on 3rd down and 3. Collins, wait, tossed it. A catch to the 20-yard line. It was caught by Randall L. Low catch, but he made it for the Washington first down.
Well, Todd Collins felt the pressure coming wide and just stepped up and made the play. I don't think there's any question he made that catch.
No question at all. A nice catch by Antoine Randall.
And a huge play because it gets you off your own goal line, your first down. You get a little something going offense against this crowd.
Yeah, and then they start now from the 20-yard line with a first down after beginning the last series from the 4. And a reverse. Randall L. out of bounds after a short gain on the play. Randall L., of course, the former Indiana University quarterback, capable of throwing a pass from that play as he did in the Super Bowl.
Well, Julian Peterson's just going to come shooting through the line of scrimmage, and if he could have figured out where the ball was, he probably could have made a play. He got through there and just kind of blasted right through the offensive lineman, but he couldn't find the football.
But Kearney got Randall L. out of bounds after a gain of only 2. Tupu, the leader of the Seattle defense, looking over into the backfield. Great at anticipating the play call. Collins swings complete. Santana Moss just a yard short of the first down. tackled by Russell. It's a gain of 7.
Tremendous play call that time by Al Saunders, the offensive coordinator. The Seahawks came on a corner blitz, and all Todd Collins did is just raise it up and throw it right to the guy. That's the kind of efficiency they have in this offense. And because Todd Collins is a veteran, we're seeing them open up and expand this offense in a way they just simply didn't do with Jason Campbell.
Collins in his 13th year from Michigan, you know the story, came in to replace the injured Jason Campbell and got his first start in 10 years. I formation here, 3rd and short. And nothing doing. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage. They gave it to Portis, and he was met at the pass by Tapp and by Deion Grant.
Well, Darryl Tapp is just going to make a play, busting right through there. Stood up the defensive lineman, Lorenzo Alexander, that we had been talking about earlier. And there it is. When you get into 3rd and short, you just have to win those individual one-on-one battles. And that time, Darryl Tapp came up huge. He's been playing well this year.
So Frost punting on 4th down. And Burleson says stay away from it. Takes a nice Redskin bounce. Dangerous. Could have bounced off a Seahawk, but out of bounds. And it looks like our first penalty of the game. There's a flag down. Walt Coleman is today's referee.
One of the officials with his hat off, so it means somebody was out of bounds, came back in, probably the first to touch.
Walt Coleman has his regular crew with him. These first games are with the regular crews before they go to the all-star crew setup.
Once you go out of bounds, and it happens to the gunner all the time, you get forced out of bounds, you come back in, but you cannot be the first one to touch the ball.
Illegal touching. Number 29 of the kicking team went out of bounds and was first to touch the kick. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
Lee Torrance.
The gunner has to know that once you step foot out of bounds, and really there was no reason.
He didn't mean to touch it. It just bounced off his leg.
Yep, it kicked into him. He was trying to get away from it and just couldn't. But that was a kick that was very much in the Redskins' favor, the way it was bounding, and they got pretty good field position out of it. So sure, now you back it up and you end up giving Nate Burleson one more shot.
So it wipes out a 49-yard punt with no return. And Frost back out to try again. And Burleson led the NFL in punt return yards. Burleson will field this one at the 35-yard line. Gets to the corner. Into Redskin territory before he's forced out of bounds. Another nice return by Nate Burleson. It was an 18-yard return. Good field position for the Seahawks on their 2nd possession. And go to NBCSports.com and vote for the greatest team of all time in the playoffs. And the fantasy year is not over either. You can go to NFL.com and play the NFL.com Playoff Challenge. And on the last punt, the line judge, Mark Steinkirchner, was injured.
He took a real shot at the end of this one. Of course, the officials, you can see upper right-hand corner of your screen right there. Lance Laurie is just going to be blocked into him by the punter, Derek Frost, and just took a head-on blow. They were working on him during the entire commercial timeout over there. Certainly hope he's all right.
Washington lost about 30 yards after the penalty on the punt. Here's Hackett with a reception from Matt Hasselbeck. Gets about 8 yards before he's tackled by Fred Smoot.
DJ Hackett, one of those guys that has been in and out of the lineup all season this year with an ankle injury. He's finally healthy, got a chance to play a little bit last week. You can see him grimacing a little bit. I'm sure it's probably the ankle once again that's giving him problems, but he is a big play threat for this football team. You talk to Hasselbeck, he's the guy he loves to throw deep to.
From the Redskin 37, 2nd down and 2. Hasselbeck changing the play. Sean Alexander is the running back. Just raise up and flip it to Burleson. Can't get away from the defense, though. That was Fred Smoot again, the first to hit him.
Well, we haven't seen any indication of a problem from Matt Hasselbeck, but we saw early on when he was out warming up, getting ready for this one, he was really futzing around with that wrist. Is that a medical term? Sort of futzing around with that?
Well, it is now.
he was, you know, just messing around with a little bit. You could tell he was a little uncomfortable with it.
Not comfortable with it. Yeah, you saw him grimace a little bit. That was about an hour and a half before the game. And maybe he warmed up out of it, but he was grimacing then. Toss to Morris. Breaks a tackle, gets the first down. He's inside the Redskin 30-yard line. Maurice Morris for a gain of 6.
I don't think there's any question that there has been a bit of a changing of the guard in the backfield for the Seattle Seahawks. It is at least a 50-50 proposition now with Maurice Morris playing in place of Sean Alexander, especially because they've gone to so much more of the passing style of game. He's a tougher guy. He's a better blocker, better receiver coming out of the backfield. And as you saw there, he doesn't run it too badly either.
Hasselbeck to pass. Short completion to the fullback Weaver, and just makes it back to the line of scrimmage. Tackled there by Sean Springs. Apparently Tony Viteri was the injured official. Bob Newmeyer?
Well, I just talked to him, and he was in pain. He got rolled up on, Tom, on the sideline, and he's going in for either treatment or an x-ray. Wanted to stay on the field, but one of the Seahawk trainers said, hey, let's just get in and take a look at this and see what's happened to him. So hopefully he'll be back.
So Tony Viteri injured on that punt exchange. The official. On 2nd and 10, Sean Alexander. Alexander, he broke a couple of tackles, fumbles the football, and it's picked up by the Redskins. Fred Smoot. Smoot still on his feet, looking for a block. And finally will be slammed down at the 35-yard line by DJ Hackett. Marcus Washington knocked the ball loose from Alexander and picked up by Smoot. And he could have been down. In fact, that's what Alexander is arguing as they look at the big screen.
That was a big run for Sean Alexander. He hasn't lost a fumble all season, and I don't think he loses that one either.
Nope.
Good call by the officials. Clearly down before the ball is stripped out. In one of those moments, don't forget Sean Alexander is playing for just the second game now without that cast on his wrist that he's been bothered with all season long. He felt like that it may lead to a fumble, and it's sort of ironic that here we are early in the game, and his first big carry, the ball pops out when he was holding it there in his left arm.
Yeah, but his knees clearly were down, don't you agree? And
no question.
Despite the broken wrist, did not lose a fumble during the regular season. So the Seahawks had challenged. We'll be back. It up, rambled 20 yards with it. And Walt Coleman will have the ruling.
After reviewing the play, both of the runners' knees were down prior to the ball coming out. It'll be Seattle's ball, 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line. Seattle's not charged with a timeout.
So Seattle gets it back at the 17 of Washington.
Pretty easy one this time for Mike Holmgren. He has now won 5 of 6 challenges on the year. So if he challenges it, he sees something, and so did Sean Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander saw it right away. Actually, so did the Washington defense. But during that timeout, the defense said, you know, we better go back out.
Usually you see both offenses on the field at the same time, but that time the Redskins defense just stayed. They saw it.
So the Seahawk drive continues from the 17-yard line. Draw play. Weaver. Weaver cuts to the outside, to the 5, and for the touchdown. Leonard Weaver's second touchdown run of the season. It covers 17 yards.
The Washington Redskins in a straight pass defense. Look at all the guys back off the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden you hand the ball and a draw to Leonard Weaver. That's probably been the biggest difference. Max Strong was hurt earlier in the season. His career now finished. And you bring in Leonard Weaver, who maybe isn't quite the blocker, but he's a better runner, he's a better receiver, and I think has added a real dimension to this offense.
Josh Brown will attempt the extra point. And it is good. Weaver scores the touchdown. And thanks to a successful challenge of what appeared to be a Sean Alexander fumble at first, the challenge gives the Seahawks the ball, and Weaver takes it in for the lead.
We got to find a balance. Since we sling the rock so much, our game plan's a little bit different than what it used to be.
It's not going to be good weather. You know, it could be rainy, windy, wet. I absolutely expect to run the ball more, run the ball well.
The Seahawks running game, which averaged only 101 yards a game in the regular season, has been better in recent weeks, and some key runs there, including the 17-yard touchdown run by Weaver. So Seattle gets the touchdown. They got almost a 30-yard gain on a Washington penalty on what would have been a good Redskins punt. And then the Seahawks challenge the fumble ruling, get the ball back and score. Josh Brown kicking off. Betts and Cartwright are deep. Cartwright to the 32-yard line. Let's go back to Weaver's touchdown run.
Well, typically when you end up with just your fullback in the backfield and 4 wide receivers on the field, you're thinking, okay, they're definitely going to throw the ball. So the Washington Redskins defensively reacted to that. They dropped 2 safeties back. They dropped their middle linebacker, London Fletcher, about 10 yards off the ball. And with this whole new look and this new fullback, there's nothing wrong with handing it off inside. They took advantage.
Mike Holmgren said one of the reasons their rushing game's been better in recent weeks because the other team's trying to stop their passing game, and they went into a pass defense that time. Here's Collins on first down, and sitting down right in the middle of the defense wide open is Antoine Randall L., and he takes it to midfield for a first down, a 20-yard gain on first.
It's the power of having a Clinton Portis in your backfield. 8 men up in the box this time for Seattle. They go play action, they fake the reverse. Tupu just a little too reactive to the run, and able to get in behind him was Antoine Randall L.
Todd Collins has been tearing up the league since getting his chance after a 10-year absence in the starting lineup. Pumps once under the rush, he just flips it away, and it bounds out of bounds over the head of Cooley. Chris Cooley is tight end.
Patrick Kearney coming around the outside is getting a lot of good pressure coming up, working against the rookie on the outside, but it was Kelly Jennings working against Antoine Randall L. They had a double move on the outside. Jennings played it absolutely perfectly. Todd Collins had to pull the ball down, and that's what allowed Patrick Kearney to get there.
Second down and 10 from midfield. And Washington takes a timeout. I think they beat the flag with the timeout. No delay of game. We'll take a break.
The phone company has an important message for its customers. Don't listen to Vonage.
Well, over 2 million people.
Boy, there's a good. How about Lofa Tupu?
Yeah, you know, I'm going for big old Walter Jones, 6'5", 3¼ quick feet. First time the Redskins have found themselves on the short end since Collins has been the quarterback. Nowhere to go for Portis. Clinton Portis tackled for a loss on the play by Patrick, a former UVA Cavalier. Collins on 3rd and long. Downfield, deflected. Intended for Santana Moss. And it falls incomplete.
Here, and I don't think that everybody realized just how good they are defensively.
The ball deflecting off Santana Moss's hands and incomplete. So Frost, short punt. Burleson says stay away from it and takes it on the bounce. I think he wanted everybody to stay away from it.
But 15 years later, these players have never met each other or played against each other in a regular season or playoff game until today.
All right, Bob Hasselbeck, after the play-action fake, finds DJ Hackett for a big gain on first down. Hackett working against Sean Springs for 15. Quarter. NFC Wild Card game, Seattle leading. Down the sideline, Hasselbeck overshooting Hackett that time. So the Boston connection between Hasselbeck and his...
Last year when they put in Jason Campbell, and here I am and finally getting a shot this late in my career.
10 years and never bitter about not getting a chance. Maurice Morris stopped in the backfield. The defense good that time from Marcus Washington, who stops Morris for a loss of about 3 yards back to the 40-yard line.
And to some extent, I think it's an important time.
Third and long, and Hasselbeck backing up into the shotgun. Outlet receiver is Weaver. Bumped out of bounds short of the first down. Fred Smoot defending on the play for the Redskins. You're going to get the ball back.
And I have to give Greg Williams a deep
offense and defense. Randall L. is deep to receive the Plaquemire punt. Remember the last time Seattle punted, they were able to down it at the Redskin 4. Plaquemire sails this one a beauty, looking for the coffin corner. There is a flag down, and Plaquemire trying to shake it off. The ball will be marked out at the 2-yard line.
I think you're going to have a running into the kicker here on this one.
A beautiful 50-yard punt by Plaquemire. That coffin corner is a dying art, isn't it? You hardly see that anymore. Worked it perfectly.
I think it's Matt Sinclair right at the tail end is just going to catch the leg as it comes down. It's running into the kicker. It's a 5-yard penalty.
So Holmgren with a decision to make.
Running into the kicker. 58 on the defense. That penalty's declined. First down.
So would not have given him a first down, and they'll...
Big mistake down here. Even if you punt it, it's not a bad play from down here. Cannot turn it over now.
Flags.
Chris Samuels jumped.
Neutral zone infraction. 60. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, there you have it on the outside as one of the Seahawks jumped, and that made Chris Samuels flinch. That's a good call by the officials. If the defensive player jumps first, then it is on the defensive side.
A rare penalty against Seattle gives the Redskins a little more space out to the 7. Collins backpedaling, fires incomplete. Intended for Cooley, the tight end, who wins. The other time, 1941, Curly Lambeau of Green Bay and George Halas, Papa Bear Halas of the Chicago Bears. Joe Gibbs with 154, Mike Holmgren 157, matched up today.
Joe Gibbs stopped me on the field just before the game and said, I want you to know what I'm about to do is a heck of a lot harder than what you're about to do.
2 Super Bowl winning coaches matched up today in the NFC Wild Card. Collins hit as he released. Patrick Kearney was all over him again, and the Seahawks have recovered.
Well, Patrick Kearney once again is just simply tearing up Stephon Hire on the outside. That's one of the few times we haven't seen him with any help over there, and you just simply can't do that. And one of the problems you have if you're the Washington Redskins is you you can't constantly help everybody on the football field. By taking one person and using him to help in protection, you're taking somebody out of the pattern. And right now you're seeing Todd Collins pressured in a way that he hasn't been during the course of this 4-game win streak.
That's the challenge flag that Joe Gibbs has apparently thrown onto the field. Darryl Tapp quickly to the ball, by the way, recovered it after Kearney had knocked it free.
Well, Joe's going to challenge whether or not that's a pass or a fumble, and it was close. It was happening right at the time, and if that arm is coming forward at all, and it's definitely a close call. I mean, this is a good challenge by Joe. He understands down 7-0 at this point. If he goes down 14-0, he has a problem. Is that hand coming forward just slightly? It was
the
close.
Previous play was an incomplete pass. It'll be second down.
Oh, the ruling now, an incomplete pass.
Well, now you're going to see a challenge probably on the other side of the field from Mike Holmgren.
In fact, the Seahawk offense was out there. The Redskin defense was out. And now they say incomplete pass. So here's Holmgren now getting the explanation from Walt Coleman. One thing, though, is obvious, that Heyer has his hands full.
He does indeed.
What can they do to help him?
Doing it. They just have to keep guys coming over there time after time. And that one is right so close on the border as to whether or not that's pass fumble. And I think what they may be telling him at this point is this is an incomplete pass. We ruled this as an incomplete pass, and I'm not sure that Mike Holmgren can challenge that one.
He has that look that he'd like to.
Yeah, because once it's ruled incomplete, if it had been ruled the other way, it could have gone from a fumble to an incomplete pass. But once they say that that's an incomplete pass, the ball's dead.
Well, the Seahawks won a challenge that led to their touchdown. That one wasn't a challenge, but the Redskins get a bit of a break with Portis tackled for a loss by Julian Peterson.
Well, Julian Peterson has just had a tremendous year this year going to the Pro Seattle Seahawks. You see everybody coming and perfect protection. Pete Kimball at the left guard position with a big block, able to pick up that blitz. And when Todd Collins can stand in there and just survey the field, that's what they worry about him. They said his best attribute is the fact that he is very good at diagnosing defenses, and they didn't want to give him a chance to do that.
So first down now from the Redskin 25. Pocket collapsing, but Collins got away and spotted somehow right in the middle of that defense. Randall L. again.
Much one-on-one protection.
Portis pounding ahead up the middle for a first down. Collins first down screen pass complete to Cooley, the tight end. And the Seahawks defended well. Having a tremendous run here since taking over for Jason Campbell. Hit as he releases Collins. It'll come up short. Intended for Santana Moss, but he took a shot just as he released the football.
And it's a good thing they got to him, because Santana Moss was absolutely wide open down the field. Coming with the pressure up the middle, it gets there just in time, and Santana Moss, I don't know if Seattle had broken the coverage or exactly what happened. Deion Grant jumped Chris Cooley underneath. He is going to walk in the end zone that Todd Collins can get anything on that throw.
Howard Green, the man that hit Collins just as he released the football, and it came up short.
And it's kind of strange because Howard Green is just basically a run stuffer. He's not really known for his pass rushing ability at all.
Third down and 12 from the shotgun. Collins looked away. Did he get the timeout called? The ball bounced off him and recovered with the Seahawks. Here's another key ruling. He turned to look at Walt Coleman to call a timeout. He had put his foot down several times hoping for the snap, never got it. And the delay of game will prevent a turnover.
Still third down.
You just on the play clock, Ron.
Here's a screen pass to Portis. Clinton Portis, who's been used in the passing game more by Todd Collins. Only gets a slim yard or so as
when it actually expires and when they're going to say the play's done.
Frost punt to Burleson. 4 possessions, 4 punts for the Redskins. Burleson shook away from 2 men and then is forced out of bounds by Frost, the punter.
It's a nice city, though, isn't it? It really is. Great people there.
First down for the Seahawks from their own 35-yard line. And here's Burleson open down the sideline. Kind of an odd throw from Hasselbeck. I don't know if his arm was hit or what, but he's able to muscle it out to Burleson for a gain of 25.
That means Sean Springs got busted. Dave Burleson came on a little double move. He came off the slant. And Sean Springs has a real reputation in this league for reading quarterbacks' drops and reading releases of tight ends and backs. And sometimes he will get interceptions off that. They set him up and got him.
Sean Alexander stacked up. And Favre got the only other dissenting vote.
Hasselbeck knows he has man coverage here. Let's see if he can take advantage.
Catching it in stride, DJ Hackett. And a nice finger tip catch. And the Seahawks again defending, brings up a 3rd down and 2. Hasselbeck out of the shotgun, calling Hackett in. And swings it wide of Maurice Morris. Neil Hasselbeck had
the coaches, and he'll try and settle him down, and if he still needs them, they'll come back and yell at each other.
Josh Brown, 50-yarder on its way, and good. Josh Brown gives the Seahawks a 10-point lead. From the Puget Sound and the Pike Place Market and all the attractions of the Emerald City. Cartwright on the return of the Brown kickoff.
A moment for a guy who hasn't played very much.
First down, Skins from the 31. Portis breaking free. Portis with a nice run on first down to the 45-yard line.
You slow down to Patrick Purdy. You just start pounding them. They've lost some defensive tackles in the middle. Maybe they can start attacking inside.
Again, it's Clinton Portis, and this time only 2 yards before he's tackled by Lofa Tatupu.
Any of these other guys, and these 3 linebackers are pretty good.
Collins sacked. Peterson. 3rd down and 14. Collins broken up. Intended for Caldwell.
Kelly Jennings, who's been attacked all year, is playing better and better each week.
Burleson backpedaling, fields the Frost punt. Gets by the first man, but not the second. Driven out of bounds about the 19-yard line. Another punt and take over with a 10-0 lead. First down pass from Hasselbeck. Down the sideline for Hackett, and a flag down. That'll be interference against Sean Springs.
It may be the other way.
Maybe against Hackett, and that's what the Redskins are saying, that's for sure.
Yeah, Springs had pretty good position on this one, and Hackett trying to hack his way back in.
Interference, 18. Offense.
It is offensive interference.
First down.
So back to the 10-yard line. They hand off to Sean Alexander. And he's taken down short of the 15-yard line. Just under 6 minutes to go till halftime. Hasselbeck setting up what appeared to be a screen to Weaver. It's incomplete. Old Seattle here deep in their own territory. 3rd down and 15. Hasselbeck sacked back at the 10-yard line. Ball free and a scramble for the football. Trying to sort it out. Remember, Hasselbeck's hand, his passing hand, he hit it on a helmet, was already injured coming into the game. And Maybe that grip of the football not quite as good, but the Seahawks avert disaster with the fumble recovery there.
And Hasselbeck really lucky.
Antoine Randall calls for a fair catch and makes it at about the 43-yard line.
C, Saturday night in C.
Saturday night? I thought it was Sunday night.
It's the playoffs, man. The playoffs.
Well, for the playoffs, Faith Hill had to go to an audible there. And coming up next, the second half of our wild card doubleheader, the AFC matchup between the Steelers and the Jaguars, coming up next here on NBC. For the first time today, the Redskins have the ball in Seahawk territory, their best field position to start a drive yet. Play action fake, Todd Collins through the hands of his receiver. That's what, the third drop today?
Yeah, and it's all three stars that are dropping.
Yeah, Portis dropped that one.
You know, they're only sending two guys out in the route because they're having so many issues with the pass protection right now. But that time they did manage to slip Clinton Portis through there. But you have to make that play. And there's such a difference between 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 10. You know, now you're sort of in one of those positions where you know Seattle's going to bring the pressure, and who are they going to bring? I mean, they've been hitting you with everybody on the defensive line. You can't block just one of them.
Collins going deep. Almost intercepted, throwing into double coverage. On his way to his first Pro Bowl. Collins got away, but is down. And the play ruled dead. Another sack for the Seahawks.
Oh, my goodness. Leroy Hill. Wow. He just ran right through everybody coming off the outside. They thought they were going to get him picked up. And he just took Liddell Betts and threw him right into Todd Collins. I mean, that is now at least the fourth different guy that has hit Todd Collins. So you're sitting there as a game planner and you're Al Saunders and you're saying, okay, well, I got to block this guy and I have to help here and I have to help there. You can't help everybody.
Relentless pass rush by the Seahawks today. Here's the Frost punt. Burleson fair catch made at the 16-yard.
He's been doing all season.
Sean Alexander gets the call on first down. So you said that this was a different Seahawk team, built not around the run, but around the passing game on offense, and with a rock-solid defense. Seemed like the whole defense is going to the Pro Bowl, and in fact they are, because the four members that are going are making sure that every defensive teammate gets a trip with his family to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. They're going to pay for it. Alexander lowers his head and takes a pretty good hit at the third field. Hasselbeck standing in the pocket, sidearms it incomplete, intended for Pollard. And the Seahawks will go 3 and out.
Greg Williams that time didn't bring pressure, and yet they were still able to get a little pressure on Matt Hasselbeck. Anytime that you can just rush 4 and squeeze the quarterback, especially when you get pressure right in his face. Quarterbacks, they understand that they may end up getting hit coming around the edge, but when that guy's
makes a fair catch. So we trade punts. That one 46 yards with no return. And the Redskins have paid off for the Jags quarterback David Garrard. Coming up on the Toyota halftime show. Collins with a handoff to Portis. Looked like the ball was never going to get there in time. Santana Moss waiting, and then just snatched it out of the air for a first down.
Yeah, Marcus Trufant jumped this one pretty good. You know, they flipped Marcus Trufant over to the left side. In the NFL, the top corners play the left side because that's the visual side for the quarterbacks. So they made the switch from the right corner to left corner, and he's made huge strides in the past year.
Pass caught. Close to the first down by Randall L. They'll mark it just.
Nice play. That's what Todd Collins does best. very sophisticated in reading these defenses.
That's a 2-minute warning.
So 2-minute warning in the first half here in Seattle. (10-0) Seahawks. With 2 minutes to go in the half, Joe Gibbs and the Redskins shut out in the first half only once in 23 postseason games. Well, with 2 minutes left, down 10-0 to Holmgren and the Seahawks. Quentin Portis stacked up at the line of scrimmage, only needed a yard for the first down.
Well, Joe Gibbs was upset on the previous play. He felt like since they called for the measurement that they should have stopped the clock right here and given them another play. They're going to call for the measurement here, but they continue to allow the clock to run out. Antoine Randall was calling for the timeout anyway, but it took the officials a long time to call for that measurement.
Third down and a yard. Collins' pass incomplete, intended for Cooley.
Boy, Deion Grant was all over him.
And Grant with him stride for stride.
Deion Grant, maybe not the biggest hitting safety in the NFL, but what he does intellectually back there and physically playing some man coverage against a player as good as Chris Cooley, very impressive. And Joe Gibbs now, I think, making the right decision here and going for it. He has to have something for this football team going in at the half.
Really needs something positive here. And on 4th and 1. And they give it to the the fullback Sellers. It will be close. 4th down play, and they gave it to the fullback Sellers.
Well, I sat with Joe Gibbs in the NBC studios for a full year. And when it was 3rd and 1, I was almost lock sure that that was going to be a run. He does not like seeing anything fancy. He believes in his big guys up front, and that's going to come up short. So they go back to back, cannot convert, and if you believe in our yellow line, and we typically do,
Surprised that they didn't give it to Portis and let Sellers block for him.
Yeah, and I'm also a little surprised at that mark. When you looked at it, it looked like he may have gotten a little bit more than what it appeared.
Well, if you need a spark and so you go for it and then you fail to get that spark, does that double your problem?
Well, not necessarily, but if in fact they come up with points on the tail end of it, then you do have an issue.
I was just worrying about the emotional impact of,
Yeah. But the emotional impact of getting your quarterback hit 20 times is pretty severe, too. Joe Gibbs is looking down going, I can't believe we don't gain a yard, and they're going to go take a look at this spot. And I think that's a good idea, because when Sellers was hit and then he rotated his body, he never really went down. His knee wasn't down in the first half, but they have to make another stand here.
Morris cut down short of midfield by
a little bit of the explosiveness there of Maurice Morris.
Off the hands of Bobby Ingram and incomplete. Defended by Sean Springs. Stops the clock at 58 seconds.
Like Bobby Ingram was a little surprised by that one. He wasn't thinking that one was coming out.
On 600 career receptions. Hasselbeck under pressure. Got rid of it, but incomplete, intended for Burleson. And with 54 seconds, it'll be a Seahawk punt.
Well, Matt did play Brett for doing it. I'm going to yell at you for doing it, because if he stepped up and make that throw, that's probably a first down, keep this one alive.
Hasselbeck began by hitting 9 of his first 12 passes and missed now his last 5 in a row. Randall L. fair catch at the Washington 9-yard line. So Hasselbeck getting that little drink of water, and meanwhile we heard 2 versions of it, by the way, and some of the people on the sideline were telling me that for the 3rd time today the Redskins start inside their 10. They are at the closing seconds of the first half as Mike Sellers with another carry makes it out just across the 10-yard line, where he's tackled by Howard Green.
And I think everybody is going to be content to take this one in at the half. Obviously, Washington not wanting to make the big mistake. They are still in the ball game, but offensively, they just have to come up with some answers. And I think the answer has to be running the football. If they can't win the game running the football against Seattle, they're probably not going to win it because they can't block it.
And Betts with a short game, which will bring the first half to a close. So that's the end of the first half. 10-0 Seattle. Coming up next, the Toyota halftime show. Bob Tiki and Jason Taylor break down this first half and look ahead to the Jaguars.
They could force a punt and maybe get a free kick for a field goal.
Betts. And did they get the timeout? Yes, they did. Blackemeyer punting to Randall L. High towering punt here. Randall L. fair catch. Successfully made at the 16-yard line. So the Redskins will take.
So far, and for Patrick Kearney, he made the decision to come to Seattle because he thought the NFC a little easier path to the Super Bowl than the AFC. Denver, the other team he considered.
From the 17. Collins hands to Portis. Some blockers in front, doesn't matter. Good penetration by the Seattle defense. A gain of 2. Julian Peterson gets credit for another tackle. Well, he looks like Matt wasn't able to avoid.
But Mike's, you know, he's an old school teacher, and he talks lovingly about his days when he was a high school coach, and it meant so much to him. And he understands he has a little temper issue, and so he's tried to not be quite as volatile, a little more understanding. He doesn't always succeed, but he's getting a little better at it.
As charming as they come every day but game day. Collins in stride to Randall L.
Tech more, but they have enough confidence in Todd Collins to read it and get it out that it's making a difference with this offense. Not today.
11 of 21 for Collins as Portis is twisted down after another short gain. Give him a yard, Leroy Hill. First to hit him.
You know, and Clinton Portis now is seeing that play side is shut down. So now he's going, all right, let me try the backside of this thing. And then Leroy Hill sitting there on the backside of it. This has been, honestly, so far, a whipping by the Seattle defensive front against this Washington Redskins offensive line. There's no other way to put it. The game has been won by the Seattle defensive front so far.
Play action fake. Collins rolling to his right. And will slide down after a 2-yard gain.
Hey, you come out on the bootleg, and the receiver obviously is the tight end, Chris Cooley, coming across the backside. And Deion Grant kind of cut him off, and then Lofa Tatupu was in front of him, once again anticipating the play. And so there's nowhere to go. There just was nothing there.
So 3rd down and 7 now from the Skin 33-yard line. Under pressure, he has to throw it away. Julian Peterson bearing down on Todd Collins. In fact,
not impossible yet.
In fact, Seattle 10 points in their first 4 possessions, but they punted the last 4 times they've had the ball. That's about complete. Burleson nearly got away, but not quite. Grabbed by Fred Smoot before he could get too many yards after the catch.
Now, Nate Burleson's the guy that when they get man coverage and they see one-on-one matchups, they don't like to throw it to him deep so much. They just want to get the ball in his hands because of that great punt return and kick return ability. So many times this year he's taken that little 5-yard hitch and turned it into a big touchdown.
And a 94-yard punt return touchdown, a 91-yard kickoff return touchdown. Hasselbecker rolls, finds Ingram, who dives for a first down.
Now they're starting to shorten up a little bit and just play a little ball control. This is probably the purest form of the West Coast offense, where you don't really try to take the ball and work it down the field so much. You just get it in those playmakers' hands and let them make a run. The Redskins were saying that when you're playing the West Coast offense, you just have to make sure you're making those tackles.
Sean Alexander hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Alexander finding the going pretty tough today. Cornelius Griffin hit him that time.
You know, Sean was telling us that he definitely misses Max Strong in the running game, and not that Leonard Weaver's not a good blocker, but they were so used to playing with each other. He said, I never watched what Max Strong did. I could tell by the sound of how he hit somebody how he was going to block him, and so I could watch the defenders around him.
Weaver unable to get a block that last time, and Alexander stopped for no gain. Hasselbeck lofts it up, and it's caught in stride by Hackett. He beat Sean Springs, and he has a first down. "35 yards.
Well, once again, Sean Springs just left on an island on the outside, just one-on-one the entire day. And you say, oh, well, he's been getting beat on some plays. But the only way the Redskins have been able to apply any pressure is to play man coverage and attack on the inside. And so these corners who have been playing so well are just completely under pressure now in this game. Sean Springs, Fred Smoot doing their best, but it's a difficult thing they're being asked to do out here.
Shotgun empty backfield, 4 wides. Hasselbeck looks downfield, finds his outlet receiver Alexander at the 20-yard line, where he's hit by Sean Springs.
You know, I just watched Matt Hasselbeck at the end of that play, and I can't tell if the wrist is bothering him or not. He's kind of, you know, when he makes the throws, he's doing a little something with his hand, and I'm sure he doesn't want the Washington Redskins to know if there's really anything going on with him or not, but we can see this at the end of this. He was kind of walking back to the huddle, and he just did a little, maybe just upset with himself. He didn't pick up the play.
Split backs now, Alexander and Weaver. Sean Alexander didn't seem to have any chance, and did manage.
Chester Taylor just phenomenal. So that was a big loss for the Seattle Seahawks offensive line.
From the shotgun on 3rd and 7, blitz comes. Hasselbeck chased from the pocket, looking for the first down mark, and upended hard by Smoot at the 15-yard line, short of first down yardage, and Hasselbeck a little gimpy as he gets up.
And Matt Hasselbeck takes a huge shot on this one by Fred Smoot. And if I had to name one guy who has played the most inspired football since Sean Taylor's funeral, I would have to say it's Fred Smoot. I always thought he's a pretty good player, but Fred Smoot has been just simply sensational since that took place. He was very emotional about the whole thing and just has played the best football of his life over the past 4 weeks.
Josh Brown, 33-yard field goal attempt is good. Brown hits his second field goal in as many tries here in the first half. Matt Hasselbeck, is he okay? Smoot hit him hard.
But then later on this week, he may not be able to walk very well.
Cartwright. Flag is down. Cartwright's got a nice return moving, and he gets it to the 50-yard line. Let's check the flag. Kevin Bentley on special teams, the Seahawk tackle. And a little jawing going on. So you beat me to the punch when you said you were a little soft in the hospital with a thigh bruise.
Like I haven't been around you long enough. Go for the Redskins.
Personal foul. Low block. 50. Return team. 15-yard penalty. First down.
So the Redskins just can't get anything going. Penalty nullifies a good return. Top receiver for the Skins. Beautiful catch for 20 yards.
That was just a beautiful football play right there. Todd Collins threw that ball at least 3 steps before Chris Cooley came out of his break. Cooley saw it at the last second, stuck up one hand, made the catch. Best play of the day so far for the Redskins.
10th first down for Washington in 10 possessions. Collins underneath to Portis. Clinton Portis tackled. Portis Tackled by Jordan Babineau. Here's what the Redskins have done in their previous possessions today.
So the highlight being turning it over on downs. They're going to the half. I'm not sure which one of those is better there.
Second down, Collins. Another completion. This one to Randall L. for a first down.
You know, it's pretty interesting to me here, Tom, and I started to use the word amazing. Maybe I'll go back to amazing in the fact that right now Seattle, after bringing all that pressure and having all that success in the first half, 3 straight plays now have gone to a 4-man rush, a soft zone, and just playing conservatively. I've got to think here in a minute they're going to try and come get him again because that's what was working.
Under 3 minutes in the third quarter. Portis hit hard from 2 angles. Collins reads it with a pass to Cooney, and he has it for another Washington first down short of the 35-yard line. It's a gain of 15 yards.
That time they come with a safety blitz off the edge, and Hill this time stuck in coverage instead of being able to come and bring the pressure. And that's what we've come to expect out of Chris Cooley. Cooley's a guy that can get you out of a slump. So far in this drive, he's been the main man, and now Clinton Portis on the sideline.
Cooley with a couple of big receptions, and tacklers bouncing off in that time. Collins, short drop, quick toss, caught by Randall L. Ducking and dodging, and 2 yards short of the first down where Deion Grant gets him to the turf. And a fight breaking out, quickly broken up.
Out for a big play.
Todd Collins 5 for 5 on this drive for the Redskins. That's his first miscue. Intended for Caldwell, and the receiver fell down.
Saying the last 2 Super Bowl champs played Wild Card weekend. Like, take Colts last year, right? They struggled coming to the playoffs.
Lost 3 of their last 5.
Wild Card weekend, they got their mojo back. Won it all.
I see a mojo-free playoffs. I think it's big dogs. Pats, Colts, Cowboys, Packers.
See, now that will be epic.
Well, historically speaking, that has a 35% chance of happening.
You're arrogant. Numbers.
Follow the playoffs 24/7 on NFL Network.
Beginning
6 for 15 this season. They went for it 4th and 1 once in the first half and failed to get it on a carry by fullback Mike Sellers. Play action fake. Collins delivers downfield.
Wow, that has
there's
to
the
be
flag. It looked like it was intended for Sellers, and it looked like the flag was not going to be forthcoming. It finally was, and it would be pass interference against the Seahawks.
Well, Brian Russell is going to argue that I was looking back for the ball and our feet simply got tangled. And if that would be the case, it would not be pass interference.
And maybe that's why the flag was not
pass
forthcoming.
Interference. 25, defense. Ball placed to the spot of the foul. First down.
So a moot point. It is defense on, or pass defense on Brian Russell. Pass interference.
You know, his feet did get tangled up, but as he was going to the ground, he also reached and grabbed for the arm and knocked his hands away.
And had his right hand wrapped around his leg.
Had the legs just been tangled, I think they might have waved that one off, but that additional arm swipe is probably what drew the flag.
38 seconds, third quarter, first down at the 11. Collins underneath, caught by Sellers. Twisted down at about the 8-yard line by Tutupu.
How about the play call by Al Saunders on 4th and 1 with Joe Gibbs as your head coach? Yeah. Trust me, if that one had not worked, Al Saunders would have been hearing about that one for a long time.
Washington in the red zone for the first time in this game. 10 seconds to go in the third quarter. Second down and 7. Just beat the end of the quarter. Collins scrambles, looks in the end zone and nearly picked off. Deion Grant, who's back on the field after being shaken up a couple of plays ago, went upstairs and almost got it.
Yeah, you just forget how athletic these guys are sometimes. Todd Collins thought he could drop it in over the top, and Deion Grant just went vertical on him. It wasn't a bad throw, wasn't a bad idea. Throw it high in the back of the end zone. And he just got up and a little higher than the Redskins did.
The end of the third quarter, Seattle as good as you can be. And a big play coming up here with 3rd down and 6 from the Seahawks 7-yard line. Collins dancing in the pocket. Throws the pass complete for the touchdown to Antoine Randall. Collins buying time, and then finding Randall, who's had a big game today. And the Redskins finally dent the scoreboard.
Yeah, great call by you, Tom. It was indeed the fact that they had enough time. He runs the complete out, and then it's going to loop back underneath the coverage as people inside clear out. Antoine Randall perks it up. And for Todd Collins, the fourth quarter magic continues.
Randall with 9 catches, 92 yards, and now a touchdown. Sweezum's extra point is good. So Todd Collins with a touchdown pass, and Washington narrows the count. It's 13-7 in the NFC Wild Card. NFC Wild Card game in the fourth quarter now, and Seattle up 13-0 just a few moments ago, leading virtually the entire game, sees their lead cut to 13-7. Sweezum to kick off the scoring drive by the Redskins, in which Todd Collins was 7 of 9 through the air. Taken by Burleson and stopped at the 25. NBC's NFL Wildcard Playoff brought to you by Campbell's Chunky, official soup in Seattle, Washington, where the home team's up 13-7, taking over here. And Burleson has it dislodged. And it's a catch. Burleson somehow held on to it despite the fact that Torrance hit him and the ball came momentarily free.
And I thought Lee Torrance had a chance to come down with it here, which would have been a huge play in the ball game. You get a little bobble, the ball's up in the air. And man, just the fact that it was able to come right back into Burleson's hands, that would have been an amazing turnaround right there.
Instead, it's 2nd down and 6. Seahawks able to pick up the blitz, and then it's intercepted, though, by Landry, the rookie Landry, down the sideline. But it's going to rule.
I think they're going to say he's down back here because he was hit with the contact. But there we see what I think is probably the biggest difference when you're talking about the Washington Redskins defense. They play their safeties so deep this year because they got beat on so many big plays. So they don't do what defensive backs typically do, which is backpedal out of that situation. They stand there, they react up, and once again, the Washington Redskins defense comes up with a play, and I guarantee you there are so many guys on the sideline right now talking about Sean Taylor and what Sean Taylor's watching this game, and they're talking to him because they truly believe that he's with them on the football field. Whether you believe it or not doesn't matter. This team thinks that number 21 is with them, and the magic is starting to happen once again for the Washington Redskins.
First turnover of the game. And clearly he was down by contact from Ingram. So it's back to the 42-yard line. Clinton Portis finds a seam and has a nice 9-yard run on first down. And Portis says he even talks to Sean Taylor, his former Miami teammate. Taylor still listed on the official depth chart. This is given out to the media. It's also in the official game program where the Redskins still list the late Sean Taylor as their starting safety. And back at Redskins Park, his locker still has the equipment in it, now sealed by plexiglass. He's very much with this team. On the slant, Moss has the Redskin first down to the 30-yard line.
You know, it has been just an amazing story for this football team. And the fact they were down 13-0, and most teams you'd say, well, it's probably over. But this team was 5-7, effectively out of it. Joe Gibbs had the horrible decision, calling the 2 timeouts against Buffalo. You would have thought this team maybe collapsed. They go down to the funeral. They come back, a galvanized football team. They have come back so many times this year that you got to believe they probably have another one in them.
Play action fake. Collins looking for the end zone. Tossing. Caught. Moss for the touchdown. 30-yard touchdown pass, Todd Collins to Santana Moss.
Santana Moss going to come down here and then go all the way across the formation here. They go play action on an early down where it looks like maybe this is going to be a rundown. Deion Grant just simply no match for the speed of Santana Moss. And can you believe the turnaround in this football game?
Squeeze them to give the Redskins the first lead. And he boots it through, and Washington goes up 14-13 as Sean Taylor watches from the heavens above Santana Moss.
Coach! Do our Super Bowl parties rock because we serve Coors Light?
That's one reason for the domination.
Coach, should we go icy cans or frosty bottles?
I don't know, let's start with one. Then we'll make a decision.
My buddy's gonna flip for it, Coach.
If that's his way of making a decision, that's fine with me.
It's cans.
Frost Brewed Coors Light, official beer sponsor of Super Bowl 42.
You said doing our hair like this would make us chick magnets.
Obviously, I was wrong when I said that.
We look like fools.
Some of the players with the touchdown catch, and after scoring no points in the first 45 minutes, Washington has scored 14 in the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Short kick. It takes a bounce. That's a live ball. Call of the fly. And another Redskin touchdown.
You're not allowed to advance that one, but it is going to be the Redskins football.
Anthony Mix recovers it and just cruised into the end zone, but he can't advance it. Can't advance it. It'll be down.
The ball is dead. When recovered, first down.
Tom, we're sitting up here, and we have a great vantage point for this one. This ball stopped. The wind is blowing directly in the face of the kicking team on that one. The ball went up and almost like a frisbee came straight down. And you see Burleson's going to try to catch up to it, and then it bounces over his head. Well, this is just like an onside kick at this point. Recovery by the Washington Redskins. Their ball. Burleson understands what's going on. He's saying, look at this thing. I can't get there. All the wall is already in their blocking mode. He simply couldn't get there. And the Redskins, this is incredible.
So they'll mark it at the 14. That's where Mix recovered at the 14-yard line. Play action fake. Todd Collins. Diving reception by Cooley. No, did not get it. It hit the ground. Short hopped it.
Cooley not arguing, so I'm assuming this was a good call, but what a throw that time by Todd Collins. The officials got that one right, of course. But Todd Collins, you think back to the throw that he made to Cooley, that corner route that kind of jump-started that drive, but he has simply taken over this football game. This 36-year-old guy who thought his chances were all over, and here he is in the playoffs in the fourth quarter again getting it done.
Who ended the third quarter by nearly being intercepted in the end zone. Portis using a block by Sellers, but not much there.
And I think we also have to make the point here that Todd Collins now is getting time that he wasn't getting in the first half. That for whatever reason, Joe Gibbs, Joe Bugle, those guys have made some adjustment here in the second half. I think the fact they're getting the ball out a little bit quicker, offensive linemen doing a nice job, but they're also getting more receivers out in the pattern and allowing Todd Collins to control the pass rush by simply saying, you can't blitz us because we're going to send all our receivers out.
Third down and 8. That 12th man trying to rally the Seahawk defense. All that pressure they had in the first half has not been in evidence here in the second half.
Well, whatever Mike Sellers said to Todd Collins, he didn't like it, and he jumped right in his face.
Timeout with 11:44 left. Mike Sellers lined up in the wrong spot, forcing the Redskins to have to burn a timeout.
Even Clinton Portis was trying to work with him and tell him, you got to go to the other side, you got to go to the other side. And then Collins says something, Sellers says something, and Collins said, I know better than you do, believe me. I'll tell you exactly where you're supposed to go, and I'm not sure we should talk about where he said he should go.
And no question who's in charge of this team at the moment. Here's Collins retreating, passing, ball deflected. I think his arm was hit as he was delivering the football by Patrick Kearney. And Kearney, who was in the backfield constantly in that first half, finally makes a play here.
And Kearney's going to come down inside of the double team. You can see they've got two different guys on him, and he still manages to knife his way through there. And it makes you think a little bit about the play in the first half. Now this is getting a little closer. Play that looked like it was a fumble. It was called incomplete. Now becoming a much bigger call in this ball game.
Sean Sweezum, a 30-yard field goal attempt. It's no good. From 30 yards, no good. And so what appeared to be a huge break as the kickoff bounded free and Washington recovered, and they get no points.
That is called playoff pressure right there. You know, in basketball, when you get the concrete in your elbow a little bit, you got a concrete knee on that one. And Joe Gibbs said, I'm going to give him a concrete on the forehead. You have to be kidding me. 30-yard field goal in a game of this significance, you're going to shank that one? Yeah.
Wow.
Now you have to wonder about his confidence if he has to make one at the end of the game.
You know, hate to have to ask him again to try to win a game, although that one appeared makeable. 30 yards away, no excuse. Hasselbeck comes right back on first down and spots Ingram, who spins his way to a first, a gain of 19 yards.
Remember when Matt Hasselbeck was telling us that I can throw a 22-yard crossing route to Bobby Ingram with my eyes closed?
Yep.
They may have just done it. That was the play. They come back in man coverage once again. They're trying to bring a little pressure. They're playing man on the outside. And Bobby Ingram winning some of those battles now for the Seahawks.
Hasselbeck avoiding the pressure and finding Hackett. Hackett into Redskin territory to the 44-yard line where he's hit by Lee Torrance.
Randall Godfrey's going to come around the outside and actually get his hand on Hasselbeck here. But Matt's going to step up, see the little hole in the protection, and get that one into Hackett, who's had some really big plays here today. Good to have him back for the Seahawks.
And the crowd back in at 16-yard gain. First down, Seahawks in Washington territory. Draw play, Alexander. To the 36.
Tom, obviously the significance of missing that field goal is now they can play for a field goal instead of having to play for a touchdown. They go draw play. Coming out of the middle is Reed Dowdy, is the guy that took the place of Sean Taylor, who's done a nice job. But you have to realize that universally people understand that Sean Taylor was the best player on this football team. So Reed Dowdy has no chance if you're going to make those comparisons.
Hasselbeck rolling, diving over a would-be tackler, whipping it downfield where it is. Intercepted. Landry has his second of the game. Intended for Ben Obamanu, and Landry coming over from that safety spot with the interception.
And Lee Torrance is going to take out Obamanu on that play. I don't think he could have gotten back into contention, but if Landry doesn't make that interception, I think they're going to call pass interference on that play. There's almost no question in my mind that had he had a chance to come back and fight for the ball, but I think what the officials are going to say on that play is that the interception occurred before the pass interference and didn't have an impact. And you just saw Mike Holmgren go, Matt, are you kidding me? But we have seen throughout the course of the game since LaRon Landry has taken over for Sean Taylor, his range from sideline to sideline has just made such an incredible difference for this Redskins defense.
Hasselbeck with 2 interceptions in his last 4 pass attempts. First down, Redskins with a hand to Clinton Portis, and the play stopped. False start against the Redskins.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, but over the last 3 years, more false starts in this stadium.
False start, 60, offense. Half the distance to the goal.
Than any other stadium. And especially when you get backed up down here, and it's no joke. Now, Mike Sellers made some comment in the papers this week about they must be pumping in the crowd noise, and all the Seahawks guys started laughing. Said, no, that's the 12th man.
That just fired him up more.
It did. Well, the Redskins desperately need a first down or two, not only to burn a little clock, but if they can't get out of this hole, it's almost an automatic field goal situation for Seattle.
So from the 5-yard line now, first down and 14. Up back Sellers. 2 yards to the 7. Well, only 2 road teams have come back from 13 down in the fourth quarter to win. 72 and 80 both times the Cowboys. Landry with 2 interceptions trying to change that stat. The Redskins trailed 13-0.
I think the Redskins have to stay aggressive here. They've got a hot quarterback. You can't be afraid. This is the playoffs. You got to play to win it.
Toss it back to Portis. Knocked backwards short of the 10-yard line.
Because, Tom, remember how hard the wind is blowing in the directions of the Washington Redskins here. So even if you try to get a punt off here, you'll be lucky to get it to the 45-yard line. And who knows what happens on the return, if anything. So I think you got the ball offensively. You're playing well. You have to continue. Worst case scenario, you throw an interception in this situation, you're not going to be in that much different a situation than you would be if you punted the football here. Patrick Kearney, though, you better find an answer for him coming off the edge right here.
So from the shotgun, Redskins look like they will be aggressive. Todd Collins, his pass high and incomplete. Nice defense by Trufant on Santana Moss.
Well, if you ever had a double move in the game plan, and obviously that's something that takes a little bit of time, but Marcus Trufant, I think the difference in his confidence this year. A year ago, I'm not so sure he would have been quite that bold on that play. But this season, you've seen him just be a little more cocky out there playing on the edge. Came up big that time.
Frost punt, a line drive low. Burleson says stay away from it. Takes a Seahawk bounce. And will be down at about the 42-yard line by Rock Cartwright. Punting against that wind, only 32 yards. Well, football playoffs today and the next round of presidential playoffs this week. Matt Lauer live at the Showdown in New Hampshire. Only on today on NBC.
Things are getting pretty interesting in the presidential elections now, too.
The Iowa caucuses. Very interesting. Well, here's an opportunity for the Seahawks. Hasselbeck had them moving last time, but threw another interception. Gets a reprieve as they take over first down in Washington territory. That one dangerous also. Intended for Pollard and incomplete as he was twisted down by Dowdy.
You know, the one thing that the Seattle Seahawks under Mike Holmgren haven't really come up with so far is a great pass catching tight end. You know, they've drafted some, it didn't work out, it didn't happen. Pollard's in here now, but that just hasn't been a position. And when you're talking about Bill Walsh and the West Coast offense, the receiving tight end has always been so significant, and they just haven't found that guy yet here.
Handoff, Morris. Ridden down by London Fletcher.
Now, when you're talking about Joe Gibbs, you're talking about consistency and the fact that once he gets the lead, he holds the lead. And they have the lead right now, but they are in a precarious position as they're heading down. Seattle probably one first down away, and you just have not had a more significant play in the ball game than this one right here. They're not in field goal range now. They need a first down. Third and about 6.
Hasselbeck under center. Short drop in his pass down the sideline. Snagged by Burleson. Big play by Burleson. He beat Sean Springs for the first down. It's a gain of 15, and now they are in field goal range and look looking for more than that.
What a great throw and catch on the outside. Nate Burleson maybe gets away with a little push off there on Sean Springs. Sean Springs could not have been in better position, but he never got his head around, Tom. All he had to do is flip his head around there, and the ball is probably going to come into his lap instead of Burleson's. But a huge pitch and catch, and a big one for Hasselbeck, who has not been playing so well.
From the 23, Sean Alexander gets the call. Takes it down to the 20-yard line.
Well, now you start playing the clock game here a little bit, too. If you want to come up with a best-case scenario for the Seattle Seahawks, they sort of slowly grind this thing into the end zone, but at the very least, you're thinking field goal. But you do not want to rely on field goal kickers at this moment. There's no way to anticipate the kind of pressure that you have in the playoffs. And I think Mike Holmgren here is going to play for the touchdown. You don't want to just put it in the hands of a kicker.
Hasselbeck pumps once, wide open, Hackett for the touchdown.
Love the aggressive play call here by Mike Holmgren. Comes out. Hasselbeck's going to pump to the right. It was man coverage by Pearson Prelo, and he just blew it. There's no way that was anything but straight man-to-man coverage on the outside, and Hackett went right by him.
And the Seahawks will go for 2. Hackett with his 6th reception. He has 101 yards receiving in that touchdown. Now, Holmgren calling for a timeout. They didn't have the correct personnel on the field. It looks like Weaver was missing. Well, replaces Alexander.
And they never started the 25-second clock.
Yeah.
So it essentially gave them time for that miscue on personnel and still time to get it off.
Hasselbeck has the 2-point conversion to Pollard. Pollard, and it's 21-14. And Cartwright with a seam and a blocker in front. Cartwright down the side, just tripped up at the 40-yard line with a late flag coming down as well. Brian Russell able to get his legs tangled up along with Brown, the kicker. 60-yard return as we check the penalty.
And this is a big call.
Illegal block in the back, 45, return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
But it's from the spot of the foul, so it just depends on where the block took place, and it looked like it was across the 50.
There's Mike Sellers with the block in the back. Number 45.
Well, sometimes when things don't go right on offense or defense, you turn to your special teams, and Rock Cartwright has been one of the great special teams players in the league. He's one of the best special teams players for the Redskins, and one of those guys that his teammates just admire for the way he plays the game. Yes, he would love to run the ball more, but he does his job and he contributes to the team, and came up huge there.
After the penalty, they'll spot the ball at the Redskin 46-yard line. Under 6 minutes. Collins wings it downfield, intended for Santana Moss, and way off target, intercepted by Trufant. And Trufant has blockers in front. Trufant down the sideline for the touchdown. Marcus Trufant, 78 yards with the interception for the touchdown.
Santana Moss on the outside tried a little out and up move. He saw that Marcus Trufant didn't bite on it, and he just basically quit on the play. He said, I know Todd Collins is not going to throw this ball because Marcus Trufant didn't bite on it. Collins threw it anyway. Trufant basically made a fair catch back there and runs it all the way. I mean, at the very least here for Santana Moss, you have to go make this tackle. He never saw the football. He made an assumption about his quarterback that he wouldn't throw it because he didn't bite on the out and up. And Trufant, instead of just catching it, he caught it and scored.
Meanwhile, Stephon Heyer, the rookie right tackle of the Redskins, was shaken up on the play as the congratulations continue. The first interception in 10 years for Todd Collins results in a Seahawk first down or touchdown.
You know, I can tell you from a first-hand basis that sometimes you do make those assumptions about, okay, the quarterback's not going to throw it here. They didn't bite. It's not the right coverage. It's not this. But you can never stop because quarterbacks make mistakes too. Is that a ball that Todd Collins should have thrown? The answer is no. He should not have made that throw. But for Santana Moss, you can never make that assumption. You can never assume that the guy won't make a bad play. That time he did. He lost where the ball was, and it just turns this game completely upside down.
Heyer able to jog off the field. And now Brown will attempt the extra point. And the extra point is good. This game is like the weather here in Seattle. It swings one way and then it swings back again.
Well, Mike Holmgren's basically an offensive coach, but oh, he's loving a little defense on that one, wasn't he?
Well, coming up on NBC, another wild card game, the AFC matchup between the Jaguars and the Steelers. That's game 2 of our wild card Saturday. Coming up next right here on NBC. Big Ben and the Steelers against the Jaguars in Pittsburgh.
If I were to say to you the number 2 and number 3 ranked quarterbacks in the National Football League, who are they? They're playing in that game. Ben Roethlisberger, David Garrard have had sensational years, and the game's really going to come down to those two today. Well, I wonder what Kathy is thinking. You think she's gotten word or she heard the screams? Mike Holmgren's wife, Kathy, who leaves before the opening kickoff of every game. She can't take it.
Cartwright fielding this one. To the 30-yard line. Well, Kathy Holmgren, Mike said that she hasn't seen a game in 15 years of his teams. All the way back to Green Bay. Here she was before the game in the box greeting their guests and cheering as the players started to come out for warm-ups. But as soon as the game began to start, she took off. Goodbye. She left the stadium. She can't stand to watch it. It all goes back to Green Bay when she would go to the games, actually sit out in the stands with the fans, but then on Monday she was feeling terrible, having migraine headaches and everything else. Finally, the doctor says, you know, you care too much. It's the game that's doing that to you. So for 15 years, she hasn't seen a game, but she might be able to hear this one wherever she is.
Indeed.
Collins, screen pass. Portis using his blockers, pushing them ahead and taking it across the 40-yard line. In fact, Kathy Holmgren often when she leaves the stadium game day will go hand out food to the homeless, and she's the community nurse down at the Pike Place Market. Very involved, and when Mike Holmgren discusses with her in Hawaii after each season whether he wants to continue, she says to him, if you're going to continue, you have to have your health and you have to have that fire. And he's still had them, obviously. That pass to Cooley right at the first down marker.
Well, this game a long way from over right now. You still have 5 minutes to go in the ball game. You've got an offense that's on the move now. And for Todd Collins, he's going back to Mr. Reliable for him, Chris Cooley. They're in the hurry-up mode now. Plenty of time in this game.
4:38 and counting. Collins is sacked. Craig Terrell with the sack of Todd Collins.
Terrell's just going to come right up the gut here, and once again, we're seeing this pressure inside. Just a four-man rush there. We see the pressure up the middle, and so far the defenders for the Seahawks have just been winning those battles.
Craig Terrell with a sack, his first, as Portis caught from behind, making it to the 45-yard line. Caught from behind by Darryl Tapp, and Portis writhing in pain.
And that is a major blow for the hopes of the Washington Redskins, because as you see more and more prevent defense, obviously trying to protect a 2-touchdown lead, what is open, all the screen passes, the little dump-off balls here, and it looked like on that play he tripped over his own guy and got hurt. But that's so much a part of the explosiveness of this football team, because what we've seen in the past 4 weeks, yes, Todd Collins has been terrific, but Santana Moss has gotten healthier. Clinton Portis has gotten healthier. He's been in and out of the lineup all season long with knee and ribs and shoulder injuries, and my guess is on the next play he'll be back in.
A bit of a limp as he heads to the sideline, replaced by Liddell Betts. Left foot. They'll try to get him back as soon as they can. Meanwhile, Betts in his 6th season from Iowa.
He's a good runner. He's not nearly the explosive player, though, that Clinton Portis is.
3rd down and 8. Collins from the shotgun. Pass caught downfield for a first down by Santana Moss.
Incredible. That had to be a 35 to 40-inch vertical leap on that one, and still made the catch. As high as he can go, in the fingertips, on a play you absolutely have to have. Great catch. Great catch.
Keeps the drive going. Under 3.5 on the clock. Randall L. catches that one with a defender all over him. Short gain of a couple of yards.
Leroy Hill right here is going to jump out once again underneath that hot read. He's getting closer and closer on that blitz, trying to run underneath that one.
Collins' pass incomplete, off the hands of Randall L., who was being hit as he caught it by Russell.
Now, Brian Russell, one of those guys, if he were to go to the NFL Combine this season, may not get drafted. He doesn't have all the numbers and the vertical and the 40-yard dash and all the different things. All he is a football player who gets these defenders in the right spot, and when the ball's in his area, he makes big plays. He's made a huge difference for this defense this year.
Another gigantic 3rd down. Collins in the shotgun. Dangerous pass, batted away. That one hung up there a long time. Intended for Caldwell.
Way late. Todd Collins was way late on this throw. If you're going to try and squeeze that one in that little hole, that ball has to come out a good 5 yards before that break happens, and it wasn't even close. If anything, that should have been a touchdown the other way for Kelly Jennings. Terrible timing, terrible throw.
As it was, Jennings just batted it down, making it 4th down and 8. Twice they've gone for it on 4th down, but that was 4th and 1. They made one, missed the other. Collins on an out, incomplete. Seahawks take over, intended for Moss.
Well, Tom, I have my MVP of this game. I think Marcus Trufant has been sensational. He is just on big third down throws. You know where they're going to try and go with the ball. Santana Moss, by far their best player, and he has just been there all day long. It is remarkable to me. I've watched this young man in his first couple of years. He had a lot of shoulder injuries. He didn't get to train in the offseason with the team. And this season, for the first time, he spent the entire offseason here. He was working out. He was working on his technique. And to see the difference in his play this year has just been remarkable. He's going to the Pro Bowl, and he certainly deserves it.
Coming into his own, the former Washington State Cougar, Trufant from Tacoma, was an All-Stater at Wilson High School in Tacoma, Washington. And now with a 2-touchdown lead, they hand the ball to Sean Alexander. With 2:36 and a timeout taken by the Redskins.
Well, it gets even more interesting if the Seattle Seahawks can hold this lead, because next week they get to go home one more time. They go back and play the Green Bay Packers.
Well, the last time they played was in a playoff game at Lambeau Field. It went into overtime, and Todd Hasselbeck was memorable. Listen to this.
Seattle has won the toss. We won the ball, we're going to score.
Well, they got the ball, but they didn't score because it was picked off by Al Harris. Returned it 52 yards to give the Packers the overtime victory, 33-27. But Hasselbeck and Holmgren hoping to return to Green Bay for their next playoff encounter. Alexander dancing around. Not much forward progress.
And I was calling that game, and Matt Hasselbeck came out and he said, we talked to him about what he said. We're going to want the ball and we're going to score and all those kinds of things. And he said, hey, I know all those guys. It was like being in the backyard. We were out there playing and having fun. And one of the things I truly love about NFL football is when it turns back into a kid's game. And, you know, Matt Hasselbeck is one of those guys. He's a gigantic kid. He really is. There's no other way to say it. He has a playfulness about him. He did a thing. He thought his teammates were a little bit tight this week, so he goes in to shave. And instead, he leaves the mustache on, goes in and puts a little eye black on it, parades around the locker room. They're all wearing him out, going, oh, please, we're trying to eat. Don't do this to him. Goes home. His wife says, get that off here. Are you kidding me? But he keeps things loose on this football team, and he's a fun guy to be around. Unless he's around Mike Holmgren.
Yeah, right.
It's not quite as much fun as it typically is.
And not as much fun for him either.
No. But this has been a great performance by this defensive football team of the Seattle Seahawks, and maybe the magic in this magical run of the Washington Redskins finally closes out here.
Alexander. Loss on the play, back to the 30-yard line. Redskins have one timeout left. No timeouts left. 0 timeouts left for the Redskins. Can't stop the clock.
Well, Patrick Kearney's sucking up a little oxygen, but he's been sucking up quarterbacks throughout the course of the game today. He has just been monstrous.
So down to the 2-minute warning. The last clock stoppage for Santana Moss and the Redskins, trailing by 14.
But they did it in Pittsburgh Steeler fashion, pounding the football. About 250 yards rushing in that game. Fred Taylor, a huge day against the Steelers defense that's really known for being able to stop the run. And you've got to think the Steelers are going to do a few things differently in this one than what happened in that game a few weeks ago.
It's 4th down for the Seahawks, and so Plaquemire in punt formation. Randall L. fair catch at the 25-yard line. I don't think he was knocked down there. His momentum kind of carried him down, and no penalty flag. Well, Todd Collins had that amazing run. And it looked like it was going to continue here in the 4th quarter today as the Redskins scored 14 points in just over 2 minutes.
You know, Todd Collins, I think, played really well, brought this team back, but he was under siege all day long today. He was hit 12 times, knocked down 10, sacked 3 times, and you're just not going to win under that kind of pressure.
Pass to Cooley. Redskins with no timeouts. That 21 on Joe Gibbs' jacket, of course. Sean Taylor's number, worn by all the Redskins and by all the Seahawks, in fact, by every team in the league. Ducking out of bounds, Caldwell. There's the pressure you mentioned that the Seahawks were able to get on in Todd Collins today.
You know, and the big thing was that they were never really able to get the running game going. And when you can't run the football against a defense like this that can bring this kind of pressure, just so tough.
Collins able to hold on to the football. Julian Peterson covered him.
So much of what the Seahawks do is about the pressure they bring. They're 10-2 this season when they get at least 1 sack, 0-4 when they don't get any. And they've been flying today.
Collins to Betts. Paul Allen, the owner of the Seahawks, who had a hand in the design of this stadium, which is so loud. It was designed to help funnel the noise down to the field.
It works.
Intercepted. Babineau. Collins has taken out Babineau for the touchdown. "57-yard return for the touchdown." And the celebration begins in earnest in Seattle.
Well, you asked Joe Gibbs last night, do you think this team has anything left? Is there anything left in the tank after winning 4 straight and all that this team has been through emotionally? And what did he say?
He didn't know.
I don't know. You know, and I think that maybe it just was finally over. And unfortunately, the box score tomorrow for Todd Collins is not going to look very good with those 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns. But he has been sensational. He played his guts out today. Clinton Portis played his guts out. It's been a remarkable run by Joe Gibbs and this team, but it just finally wasn't enough. You know, it just wasn't enough. They have too many people injured. They have too many big losses. And Seattle really didn't have those big games. They had about a month off because they clinched this soft division out here so early that they were able to get ready for this one, and they exploded tonight.
And all that and more will be discussed on the Diet Pepsi Bridge Show between games, coming up right after this one is over and before the Jaguars and Steelers. And, you know, asking and talking about the Redskins with that magic coming down, as you mentioned earlier, they had lost 4 in a row to Buffalo, and things were so unsettled. And then the funeral of Sean Taylor, and perhaps it drew them together. But then in this game, getting down by 13 points, and the fans getting into it and everything else, it took them so much to have to climb from behind to finally take that 14-13 lead that it sort of really, the bottom fell out of it then. They just were, the tank was empty.
And Clinton Portis, who looked so glum on the sideline, he was telling us last night, he said, I talked to him. I talked to him during the game. I talked to him between plays. We talked just like he was still here with us, and I think that he was still here with so many of these guys, you know, and they'll never forget.
It kind of always will be, despite the fact that this run is ending.
Yeah, and for Taylor, it was so sad, you know, that and such wasted lives, you know, not just Sean Taylor, but the 4 young kids who thought that that he wasn't going to be home and they could go in and rob the house, and the panic that must have taken place. And it's just such a horrible tragedy on so many different fronts. A guy that was turning his life around, had a 2-year-old daughter, and meant so much to him. And everybody on this team said they could see the difference in his life and how tragic it all is.
Joe Gibbs, with his deep faith, said he had seen a change in Sean in the last couple of years, and that his life was in turn starting to influence others in a positive way. If there's anything you could possibly take from that. Tapp makes the tackle there, and here come the Seahawks with their celebration. We said Seattle was sort of a forgotten team. Well, who do you like in the NFC? You might want to think about the Seahawks.
I'm telling you, because the Dallas Cowboys, depending on the health of Terrell Owens, haven't looked like the Dallas Cowboys without him. Don't know if he's going to be there. But for this Seahawks team, they needed this signature victory. They had one win over a playoff team that was against Tampa Bay on opening day. And now they come back. They give up a big lead. It looks like it's going to fall apart. They bring it back together, and Mike Holmgren and the Seahawks get it done.
2 pass interceptions for touchdowns. Matt Hasselbeck, 20 of 32, 229 yards with a touchdown, but 2 interceptions. Hackett was 6 receptions, 101 yards and a touchdown.
And let's give Hasselbeck a little credit. He was on a pretty good skid there. The wheels were starting to fall apart, and yet when it mattered most, he was able to piece it back together, took his team down the field to retake the lead.
Now when the pressure was on, he came through. Let's go down to Bob Newmeyer.
With victorious Seahawk coach Mike Holmgren on the up and down emotional scale. Where does that one rank for you?
Holy smoke. It was back and forth in the second half, certainly. I'm very proud of the team. You know, after we kind of kicked it away there, they bounced back and they played really good football down the stretch. So we get to play another game.
Matt Hasselbeck did not have his best game. 2 interceptions. They get the ball 14-13. Looked like they might blow it open, and yet they missed the field goal, and Hasselbeck brings you back. What about this quarterback?
Well, you know what? We've talked about all week how emotion plays a factor in these games. When they missed the field goal, okay, Matt went in there and he said, we'll get this done. And he went down there and threw a touchdown pass. And I don't think he did play his best game. But, you know, he is the leader of this football team, and we'll go as far as he'll take us.
And the next round will be Green Bay. A lot of history, you and Brett Favre.
Yeah.
It's a huge matchup, and it means a lot to you. What are your thoughts on this Packer matchup?
Well, you know what? I'm going to try and enjoy this one tonight. But we knew we were going to go back there if we won. It's a special place. It's a special place for everyone that loves football. And we have our work cut out for us, but I hope it's going to be a heck of a game.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Tom.
All right, Bob, and Kathy Holmgren probably getting back to the stadium by now. She can join the celebration after being unable to watch the game in person. The Seahawks win it 35-14. Coming up next, the Diet Pepsi Bridge Show. And after that, the Jacksonville Jaguars will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So for Chris Collinsworth, Bob Newmeyer, our entire NBC Sports crew, Tom Hammond saying goodbye from Seattle, where the Seahawks win their wild card matchup with Washington. You've been watching NBC's NFL Wild Card Playoff.